Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to Tipsy Lips. We have a special edition of our social podcast this evening. As I am your host, Elena Rodriguez. I am the CEO and founder of Besitos Beauty, which is the sponsor of our show this evening. We are more than just lipstick, we are color with confidence, and you can find us at besitosbeauty.com. So, why is tonight's episode so special? Well, the main reason is our guest, our amazing young man, his name is Josiah Soto, happens to be my son. So let's just say this is somewhat of a Mother's Day gift because him and I had an amazing conversation just a few evenings ago, which we happen to do quite often, and he packs such wisdom and knowledge at such a young age that must be heard. We were talking about confidence, we were talking about self esteem. And in this day and age, let's just face it, it's hard enough as grown adults who have been there, done that. We're still trying to figure it out. But especially in the age where you're growing up, turning into young adults and trying to find your way, it's a hot mess out there. And the things that he was sharing with me, I'm like, son, people need to hear this. So I want to say thank you, Josiah, for coming on and sharing with us tonight. I'm going to give a little disclaimer. This episode is unscripted. We have no idea where the conversation is going to go. What I want to ask is if you are tuning in, please say hello. Please let us know where you're tuning in from. If you have comments, if you have questions, if you have insight or anything to share, please put it in the chat that you can see, and we will be able to address it in real time. So say hello, Josiah. You are on the air, and we've got listeners already.
What's up?
What's up?
Hey, yeah. So,
All right, we've got Howdy from Texas. That happens to be Gina, is already
mhm,
tuning in. So where we're going to go tonight is you have an amazing story of confidence and self-esteem because you have experienced both sides of actually just image, physical image.
yeah,
And what you've realized is there's positive and negative on both ends of it.
yeah. I mean, in 2020, uh, I was the heaviest I ever was. I was 240 pounds and
240.
240. I was 240 in 2021. I think I was 230 something. Uh, and I just, I had let my skin go. I was like so enthralled in trying to make my music a reality, like my dream, my passion, that I just like, I don't know, with my OCD, I can only focus on one thing at a time. So for me, I sacrificed my self-image for just the music, and um, that backfired for me uh, when I went to Atlanta, met with the label that I had worked so hard to get my name in front of and get my face in front of and send my music out. And they work with all the artists that I listen to on the radio, on Spotify, all that. So it was like a dream come true. And to be able to play my music, and they're like, you have the talent, like your talent's there, like they're asking me questions and stuff. But the fact was that they told me like, you're just too big, too ugly to market. So we don't wanna sign you. So that that was like my first like big I don't know how you would call it, just like wake up.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Wake
seeing
up
like,
that like that the outside had more to do than the talent, the just the image.
yeah, it was just image. It was just like it, it. I'd always had self-esteem issues. I always had confidence issues. I'm an introvert. I'm like super secluded to myself. So, I tried my best to suppress those things to get out and do what I wanted to do, and take those risks and stuff. But, that backfired for me. And that touched like a very, very sensitive nerve for me.
Mhm.
Um, and around that time was when I had been talking to a girl for a long time, and that had fell through. Literally, probably about 2 weeks after that label had told me that they didn't want to sign me because of my image and the way I looked, and just ugly, being fat, had too much acne, uh, just all that kind of stuff.
Mhm. It
So
all it all hit all like at the same time.
yeah, it was around October of 2021, and I remember I was sitting there, uh, and I just felt like that was it. So I remember we had that conversation a long time ago that I had attempted. I was so down in a slump that I had tried to take my life, and it didn't work out, obviously. And that realization of, if I was that far down to take my life, then I could also be far up enough to just ghost everything, get rid of social media, stop working on music, stop doing everything, and just try to focus on getting
Mhm.
myself together. So I knew on my birthday, uh, when I turned 20, uh, I just, instead of going out doing everything, having a great time, I just started dieting, I cut everything off, and in a year, I lost 100 pounds.
Yes.
So
Yes, and
I
I
love,
witnessed it. The the commitment, the focus, and you can talk to how difficult that was. I know from my perspective, I recognize the mental strength that you had, and I know that we talked about that so many times, because what you accomplished, whether the way that you did it was how other people would have said to do it, but what you accomplished, people do not have that mental capacity to be that disciplined, and you did it.
yeah.
You did it.
I mean,
So talk about that a little bit.
it was hard. It was long. There was so many times where I wanted to give up. I doubted myself. I felt like I wasn't ever going to be where I wanted to be. And most times, I feel like my biggest mistake starting it is I wanted to change, but I didn't know what I wanted to get out of it. So it was like I kept looking in the mirror. I kept seeing weight drop. All these things were happening, but I was never happy, because at the end of the day, I didn't really know what I was looking to get out of it. I just was upset and sad and depressed, and I wanted to change that. But as far as like trying to see myself in the future, there was nothing there. So it was like I was just walking aimlessly, just trying to learn how to navigate a whole different type of lifestyle. When you disconnect yourself from the whole world, I changed my phone number, nobody has it. Everybody tries to look me up on social media. I don't have that no more. Anybody I used to talk to, all those friends, like I didn't go out, I didn't drive, I didn't do anything.
Mhm.
So like I wanted to sacrifice a year of my life to make the next ones, enjoyable.
Yeah.
So I wanted to enjoy my life. So um, it I'm still not where I want to be,
Mhm.
but to say that I haven't changed would be also a big disrespect to what I did. So
Well, absolutely. Because I just want to throw this in there. People that didn't know you before and that might know you now, you shared just an example not too long ago where you saw someone that you actually spent day in, day out in the studio, just working, working, working on music.
yeah,
And all this time went by, and you you see him again, and he thought you were like, he didn't know who you were.
yeah. No, I can't even count how many times people that I knew day in and day out didn't recognize who I was, or didn't even think I was the same person. Thought I just moved towns or whatever. So um, that felt good,
Yeah.
to be able to say like, well, I'm not the same person anymore. Like I'm the same person, but I'm just better. I'm
Yeah.
the best me I could be at the moment.
At the moment. So let's talk about that a little bit, because you had that judgment, and you had those negative opinions coming at you when you were heavy and when you were overweight and didn't feel good about yourself. And now here you are, people are looking at you like you're this like amazing, handsome, good-looking person, but yet you're still met with negativity. And that's when we
Uh,
were talking about from like both sides. You've experienced both sides, and it's like kind of hell at some points for being
yeah,
on both spectrums.
yeah. It's funny how different my situations are, but the struggles mentally are still there. I worked on myself physically, but I didn't really work on myself mentally as much as I should have, and it reflects in the fact that I still feel the same way most times. Like there's that part of me that wants to hunch over. There's that part of me that doesn't want to be seen, worrying about what people are thinking, second guessing, like just that self conscious, like and the low self esteem is still there, uh, and a lot of time unwarranted because there is nothing to be self conscious about, and I know that, but when you've ingrained a thought process in your head, it's super hard to change that, to make yourself believe, you know, that things have changed, especially when, I have OCD. So I want everything to be perfect.
Yeah.
So I'll,
And
I'll
we can
find
touch on that
something.
just a little bit because I think that term for people, they just throw that shit around like all the time, not really knowing what it is. Um, so we can come back and touch on that just a little bit because I think that's important for people to know. But from the confidence and the self-esteem, you have tried to work on some of these things, and when you had people in that professional space, when you said, I don't have confidence, I don't have self esteem, even they didn't believe you.
Yeah.
And these are
No,
the, go ahead.
no, I'm glad you said that because I think one of the bigger things that I realize is, I went into residential uh, for therapy, and in last year in 2021, I went to Tennessee, uh, and my therapist was like, so why are you here? I was like, well, I got OCD, I got all this stuff. Like, they're like, but no, why are you here though? Like, what is your issue that you deal with in your everyday life that you struggle with, like that you want to fix? And I was like, it was my confidence, my self-esteem. I think so low of myself, regardless of anything, and I want to change that. And then my therapist told me, like, if I looked like you, I'd never complain a day in my life. So it's like I paid all that money to get out here and sacrifice all my technology and stuff, and couldn't even tie my shoes because you couldn't have like all that to deal with just for somebody to tell me like, well, if I looked like you, I would never complain a day in my life. So it was like crazy.
Yeah. And this is why, for the people that are tuning in and listening, this is why for me as a parent, this is so important. And I just have to tell you that thank you, Josiah, for coming on here and sharing these little bits and pieces, because when people say just get help, or just seek, you're not alone, and get help, and when you have reached every avenue to try to get help, and this is the shit that comes back at you is, you know there it was like dead ends anywhere,
Yeah,
everywhere. And to have someone in that authority position to not offer help when you're there to get help. So that's why we're here talking about this. This is such an important topic. This affects almost every single person that I know in some capacity. We just rarely get to hear it from the people going through it. So I do want to say thank you for stepping forward and using your voice now, Josiah. So when you disconnected from social media, with social media being everything nowadays, how difficult was that for you? And would you recommend that to someone like you that is struggling with certain things?
I think it was the healthiest, unhealthiest thing I've ever done. I think in the right going into it with the right mindset and a time frame and a goal, I think it's the best thing you could do for yourself because the amount of drama and the things being drip fed to you on social media and the self validation that comes with that and the craving for the attention and just everything is it's unhealthy. Um, Especially you realize how unhealthy it is when you get rid of it. But also you got to know when to be realistic because you can self isolate yourself to the point where you start losing social skills. You start questioning everything because, you know, you don't have any validation besides yourself. And if you struggle mentally, then you're just struggling by yourself. And, you know, there's no other outside influence or words that you can hear that will make you feel anything different besides yourself. And if you keep telling yourself that those negative things, then that's just all you live with. And it made me more depressed because it was like, okay, you know, I would start struggling with like, well, why isn't nobody approaching me? Why do I have no friends? Why does nobody talk to me? All this kind of stuff. But it's like, well, I did that to myself. You know, I had 3 people on my phone. That was it. I didn't hear from nobody. I didn't give my phone number to nobody. If somebody did get my phone number, I switched it again. You know, so I did it in a very unhealthy way. But I would recommend it if you can, you know, set yourself a time frame with a goal in mind of like, you know, I'm gonna give it up for a month. I'm gonna keep my number open. That way, if there's any emergencies, but get rid of the Facebook, get rid of the Instagram, get rid of the Snapchat, the whatever you have. You can get rid of it for a month. It's eye opening. Especially eye opening if you can't give it up for a month. Then there's a problem there.
Yeah, it shows you more that way. So let's tap into the OCD piece just a bit, because when you talked about like only 3 people in your phone, and then if somebody got a hold of your number somehow, it's like you had to wipe it out. When people throw that term around, oh, they just got OCD or they got OCD, you experience true OCD. Can you share a little bit about what that feels like?
It's, you know, OCD is obsessive compulsion disorder. And, you know, a lot of people, when you hear OCD, you think like, oh, you just have to make sure forks are straight and you got to make sure that the tables are cleaned off. And it's like, it's so much more than that. Um, Especially how severe that I have it. You know, it's like your thoughts need to be in order. Your everything needs to be a certain way or it's broken. If it's not perfect, then it's broken. And you know, my OCD got so bad to the point where my my coping mechanism was to reset. So if something triggered me and I was struggling, then I had to reset. So reset could look something like, okay, I got to switch my number. I got to change my email. I got to change. Uh, I got to reset my phone. I got to reset my PlayStation. I got to start throwing away clothes that I don't wear, or if I do wear them, but you know I don't have the receipts or the bag from it that I bought it with. I got to throw it away because it's not like it's not perfect anymore. And so uh, that's just like one struggle. So like you start burning money because it's like, okay, I'm gonna buy this and I'm gonna throw it away. I'll rebuy it. I'd rather rebuy something and when I'm in a good mindset, so it's perfect instead of just keep it and try to like, you know, make the best and do with it, even if nothing changed, just to know that it's different now. You know, if I had an email and I bought a $60 game and then, uh, you know, something happened with the username change, like, and all my usernames weren't the same. I'd make a new email, make a new account, repay for that same game just to have it on that account because it was perfect again. And, you know, I just started finding myself spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars on the same thing just at a different time.
Yeah,
And
we actually have a listener, Rachel. Rachel, I know Rachel. I met her a while back, and she says yes, she does stuff like that too, reset. And Rachel actually works with um, a lot of women in that have dysfunction and toxic trauma and stuff. So thanks, Rachel, for sharing that piece. So how 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 important is it for you at this point to know that people can understand you better, or are you still like, it doesn't matter to me, I still got to just do my own thing?
I mean, I think it's humbling when you find people who struggle the same way that you do. Uh, but at the end of the day, no one can stop you from feeling those type of ways besides yourself. So it's like I can't really say I feel comfort in somebody else going through that too, because at the end of the day, I know I can't help them and they can't help me as far as eliminating those obsessions. Like that comes from your inner self.
Mhm.
So it almost kind of pains me when I meet people like that and they don't know how to deal with it, or they haven't gotten to the point that I already went through, and it's like it's gonna get worse before it gets better. And it's like you can only sit from the sidelines and just speak from your experiences, but you know, you're usually met with the same phrase of, well, you don't know what I'm going through. It's like, well, everybody goes through something different, but I know what it's like to feel like nobody knows what you're going through. And so it's like it's just a constant cycle of everybody thinking that they know better than you and that you can't help them because you're not them. When in reality, sometimes you just have to sit back and listen to something and just take what you hear from somebody else and try to incorporate that into what you're gonna do. And like, or listen to somebody and like hear what they did and be like, okay, I'm gonna do the opposite of that because I don't want that. Or,
Mhm.
learn from somebody by doing the opposite is what I needed to do. I see a lot of family members, everybody's overweight, everybody's depressed, everybody's sad, everybody blames genetics, everybody blames uh, the struggle, their financial, all this, there's always an excuse. And for me, it's like, okay, well, I'm gonna do the opposite of that then. Like, I use that to feel myself. It's like, okay, if you don't think you can do it and you're blaming that on something that I also have, then I'm gonna make sure I do it so that way I can show that it can be done, which is egotistical, but at the same time, it fuels me to know that because at the end of the day, I just want to help everybody else. So it's like if they struggle with that, let me let me show you what I did. I'm not gonna go to the gym with you every single day and make sure that you do it, but I'll take you and show you how to do it so that way you can go and do it yourself and all those kind of things. But then most times that's where you just lose everybody. They stop there. It's like they want it fed to them. I wanted it fed to me, and I realized like you can't really change until you want to do it yourself.
Yeah.
Like
So you do now go to the gym every day. You've met
uh,
with people that wanted to put you on meds, to give you this, to give you that, and we had to have discussions about it because I just didn't want you to kill yourself. I didn't know what else to do. As a mom, I'm on the outside, and I had to trust you when you shared with me why you weren't for it, or why you really put some thought into it. And so now you actually go to the gym every day, and that's become your thing to help you through. Do
so
you recommend like that because it makes you feel good, or it keeps the OCD pieces in check?
I recommend physical activity to anybody. Um, doesn't have to be the gym. I think the gym. See, for me, I had too much social anxiety to go to the gym. I feel like everybody's gonna judge me because in my head I'm like, man, everybody's been going there for years. And I don't want to walk in there as a newbie, probably look silly on the equipment because I didn't know anybody who went to the gym. Um, and just all these kind of thoughts in my head, like, oh, people are gonna be watching me. I'm gonna look stupid. And it took a friend for me to get in there, and then I loved it so much I'm going by myself. So uh, I think the gym can be beneficial for depression, OCD. I feel like just knowing that you did something good for yourself that day makes the whole day feel like better. Makes you feel like you successfully did something. Even if you didn't do anything else, you just sat on the couch for the rest of the day. It's like I still went to the gym though. And you're around a whole bunch of like-minded individuals. I think that's one of the best environments to meet people who are like-minded because everybody's going there for the same goal: is to look better, is to feel better. So um, I think that's the easiest way for somebody who has social anxiety to overcome it because you're going for yourself with other people who are going for themselves. And, it's like everybody can just respect that you're trying to do what they're trying to do. And when I went, it was kind of crazy how much people were willing to be helpful because everybody just wants to see everybody get better at the gym. Like nobody's competing. You're just competing with yourself. Like, so,
Nice.
um,
Nice. So when we talk about the changes in you, the physique in you, um, what people see today, like let's just be honest, you're a good looking young man, and you are attractive, and you get hit on, quite a bit. But you're not that player type. You're not that uh guy that's like passing one on to the next, to the next. How has that been hard for other people to accept about you, because you look good and everybody thinks you're like some player? How has it been difficult in the scene of dating, or just getting to know other people, when that's their perception of you from the outside?
well, it's ingrained in humans to be judgmental. Like that's a survival instinct. So for somebody to look at me and judge me on whatever, like I'll do the same to somebody else. Like I'm gonna judge somebody that doesn't mean I'm going to treat them any differently. But I think I think judging can be good in the right aspect because it's you keep that to yourself, but then you're also worrying about yourself, and sometimes you have to you know you got to worry about that. To me, at least, that's what I feel like. I think in the right concept, judging can be okay. So I don't hold that against anybody, but um, it is a struggle to prove somebody wrong who's already set their mind that they know who you are.
Mhm.
So, if somebody wants to judge me off front and be like, oh, I'm not going to say anything to that person because I feel like you'd be like this, that's fine. But then if I prove you different, but you don't change your mindset because you think you have me all figured out, I think that's very unhealthy. I feel like you miss out on a lot of different things trying to, like, if you're not open to really seeing who somebody is. So, uh, I've definitely struggled with that. I mean, I only got back onto social media less than a month ago, and the amount of uh, change that I've noticed in the way people act and talk, even like, especially people I don't even know, people that never knew who I was and what I went through and what I looked like and stuff. Is the reception's insane. The amount of uh, the attention is just way different now. Uh, it used to be for the music, it used to be for the sense of humor, but now it's for looks, and I've always wanted that, but now I don't know how to handle that.
But
Because
you
to
don't
me,
know how to handle that. Is that what you said?
no, I don't, because to me, I'm still not where I want to be. And, it's a constant battle because at the end of the day, I'll never be where I want to be because I'll always find something I can improve upon.
And that's
But
the OCD part, right?
yeah, but I think you could deal with that and not have OCD. I mean, I think it's just the constant want to be better and the constant, uh, you're never satisfied. I don't think you need OCD to have that. I think it's just, gratification, self gratification that just you're never pleased. It's always got to be something different. Um, And for me, it's learning to live with that because I know it'll never go away. For me, it'll never go away because that's what I pride myself on is getting better and looking better. And I pride myself on being validated and the attention and stuff. So to me, that's what makes me feel good. So I work hard to get that, but then I get it. And then now it comes with its own new set of problems that I've never had to deal with before. So uh, it's learning to live with that now. And it's like a realm and territory that I'm in now that, uh, it takes a while to get to, and it's hard to talk to other people about it if they haven't went through that before. So um it's just learning how to you know live in that type of way.
Mhm. So, what do you see yourself doing forward? Do you see yourself just continuing to focus and just strengthen mentally and getting more comfortable with people coming, seeing you for this like new person, or what? How do you think that that's going to get? Oops. How do you think that that's going to get better for you?
uh so what was the question again? Yeah, it cut out.
Like how, yeah, I saw that. How do you see yourself like moving forward to be able to accept this new, um the way people are perceiving you now?
Like, how do I learn to accept that?
No, how do you see yourself trying to learn to accept it more moving forward? Like
I
just
think
going through it circumstance by circumstance, or
it's just an adjustment. It's like learning your boundaries and uh your morale and stuff that like just keep those guidelines in check. And um you know, people are going to do what they want to do regardless, and you can't change that. Uh, but you can learn how to deal with it with yourself better. You know, you can't tell somebody what they can say, but you can choose how you react to what they say.
yeah.
So,
And how does it feel when people will tell you, like, almost brush off that you actually have this deep feeling about some of these things? If they're like, oh, you really shouldn't worry about that, or that's not even a problem for you, because they only see what they see. How does that cut you inside, like when people try to just brush it off because it shouldn't be a problem, because from
right.
the outside it doesn't look like it's a problem?
Mm. I mean, uh, it used to be very frustrating, but now it's one of those things where I'm like, if I wouldn't want to be in that person's shoes, I could care less. what they say. It is what it is. I'm not gonna value an opinion that I feel like mine's better than. So that's just how I feel about that type of situation. Um, as long as I feel good about the thing, uh, that's all that matters.
Very good. Thank you. And, as a parent, for any of you tuning in and listening, we've got quite a few viewers hopped on here right now. But as a parent, when you're on the outside and you honestly know, like, the struggle is real. It's not like they choose to have this struggle, but it's not like you have that magic potion to just fix it. It's a very difficult thing. And the only thing that I can say is I've just tried to allow Josiah to talk and be who he is and just be there. There's many a times where, and Josiah can attest, where I'm like, I don't know what to do, but I can just be here. And so, Josiah, for the parents listening who might have children that struggle with this, no matter what the age of the child, but for parents that are like, that feel wrong by saying, I don't know what to do. What really is the best thing for a parent to do when you're in that struggle space?
For me, I think the main thing is you got to be open. Like, be open with your kid, because if you can't be open with your kid can't be open with you, and that just causes a lot of problems. All that stuff gets tucked in, and that kid's gonna do what they want to do regardless of whatever you might think, or you think you might be shielding them from something by not talking about certain things, and they might not discover. They're gonna discover. Everybody does, no matter what that might be. But the effect could be a lot less of a detriment to that kid if you're open and they understand. Um, you eliminate that curiosity when you speak, clearly with somebody like that, especially a young mind that's going to be curious regardless. Um, and especially if they're hard headed, especially if they're stubborn, especially if they take pride in doing the opposite of what you want, because that's what I did. You know, uh, oh, you'll finish school. Okay, I'll drop out. Oh, you're gonna get your license here real soon. Okay, I won't get my license until I'm 21 years old. Just like, it's just like I'll ruin my own life to prove somebody wrong, which is a toxic trait. But being open can eliminate that. If somebody had been open with me and be like, look, I want you to finish school because this, not because I told you so, but because this is my story. This is what the effects of not doing that could happen. And that to me was like speaking clearly. I respect that. And I probably would have had a whole different type of reaction to the same statement just by being upfront and honest.
Mm-hmm.
So, and at the end of the day with the parent, like, regardless of whatever that kid does, it's like it still falls on the parent. Like, that kid's just a representation of whatever it's been taught. So, like, when I see people, when I see parents, when I'm with these, people in the hospital and they're talking about, well, my parent blamed me for this. My parent says I'm crazy because of this and stuff. It's like, it all reflects upon that child from what the parents chose, and to blame a kid for the way that they feel mentally is insane, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Like,
and I definitely want to tap into that while we still have time, because a lot of parents, the choices that we make, and I just go raw and real here, and people have known about my toxic relationship, toxic this and that, and some of the choices that we make are the ones that impact you all the most. And I think even sometimes parents don't want to separate, or parents don't want to leave, or that parents don't want to move on because they think, for the sake of the children, let's keep the household intact. But if that household is toxic, that toxicity is flowing somewhere. And as children, you guys are sponges. You absorb all of this. And so as you've had to go through your own healing process, like, that's forgiveness that I've had to ask as a parent from you. Please forgive me. Like, how 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 much can you talk to the parents to truly understand that when they are making those toxic choices, it's kind of fucking up the whole family? Can you speak to that? Because I don't hide from anything around here.
I mean, yeah, I mean, there's been very life-changing moments for me that were decisions that derived from something that the parents told me, like life-changing type of actions that I made just because of something that was said, you know, that still mold me now. Like um, when uh, after our stepdad, like my stepdad passed, and you were grieving in your own type of way, and I was grieving in my own type of way. Uh, it was the day before my 18th birthday, and you were like, you were just at a very dark place, and you said, "I've never loved you," like verbatim, "I've never loved you." And to me, I felt betrayed because it's like I stayed through all of this, like things that I didn't want, and it wasn't my choice, but I did it because of the love. So when I heard that, I moved out the day before I turned 18.
Yep.
So uh,
That was a moment when I felt like nobody loved me. Like, you never loved me, nobody loved me. And when you think of those moments that you lash out, that that lashing out to our children, regardless, is life changing. And as parents, we got to own it. We got to suck up to it. We got to say, like, I caused some of this, because we're constantly looking at what's wrong with my child. How do we fix my child, when a lot of times we have to start by looking in the mirror? And I'm talking to the parents. You got to look in the mirror. You got to face uh, your own responsibility in the situation. And I think that that's a lot of times that the parents don't want to do that, because it hurts too deep knowing that we hurt our own children. So I
yeah,
do remember that. Yep.
like going off that, like when I've been in the hospital and stuff, and I hear the therapist talking to these adults and these parents, and one of the things that I never agreed with, that one of the therapists had said, or multiple therapists had said, and is that regardless if you have kids or not, you have to put yourself first. I don't agree with that. To me, it's like it's a choice to have a kid. You chose to have that child. That child can't do anything by themselves, up to a certain point. So to put yourself before that person that you brought into this world willingly is selfish. And that's just, it creates that trauma so early. And then that cycle continues, in my opinion. It gets to a point, that kid turns into adult, like, okay, it's over now. Like, whatever you got going on, it's back to you. But you brought a child into the world, you gotta put it first.
Mm-hmm. And that's a beautiful statement, and one that must be said and shared. So we've got lots of comments coming in here. We're talking about the children. Charles says the children are victims from generations before them, of the trauma sponges of the environment they live in. And then he said, yeah, it's abuse. It's abuse. And I think that people get fearful and afraid of using that word abuse, but the reality is that's what it is, and we've got to own it. We've got to own it in order to heal it, and in order to change it forward. And that's why, for you, I am so proud. And I don't want to, I mean, I am your mom, and I am extremely proud of you, because I encourage these tough discussions. We have many, many tough discussions, and there's been so many times where the only thing I could ask was for forgiveness and be here for you today. So, what is the best thing you think that a parent can do to just help? Is it looking for therapy? Is it looking for someplace to send your child to get help? Or is it simply sitting across the kitchen table and owning their piece of the responsibility and having the tough discussions? Like, what is it?
I think everything starts with just being an ear. If you can't listen, then you already failed. Nothing's gonna change if you can't even listen to somebody. Um, so to me, if you can at least, like, once you can hear somebody out, like, that's step one already accomplished. Like, now the problem's been addressed, and now you can make your own assumption or solution, or just overall, like, how you outlook that situation, which you would never know if you couldn't even listen, if you didn't hear that person out. And most times it's not the easiest or the clearest discussion, because discussing emotions is complex. and that person might not be able to describe it in the way that is the easiest to make sense. But I feel like, especially as a parent, it is your job to listen, um, and hear out what has to be said, and not just go straight to, well, you just need meds, or you just need this, and that. Because I don't take meds, and I wouldn't. I don't want to do that. Um, I think meds can be an answer, but sometimes I also think it can take away the best parts of what make you you, because you suppress. You're not fixing, you're suppressing. So um, I think it really just it's a one-on-one type thing. Like, it could be different for everybody, but to just go and say, "Oh, my kid's fucked up, they need meds," that's crazy. Because most times, parents don't even know what type of meds their kids would even need. They just think they need them. You can't even pronounce what they're taking, but you just think it's going to be good. Like, just because that's what the doctor said. Like, oh, you got ADHD, then take this. Oh, uh, you're depressed, then take this. Um, you have OCD, then take Prozac, or all this kind of crazy stuff. And it's like, well, does that really fix the issue though? It's like, you can put on as much makeup as possible, but if you're not actually fixing that problem, when you stop, it's gonna come back worse, because then you're gonna create that dependency. Um, so to me, I feel like, try to figure it out with yourself before you just go straight and jump on meds before you even really know what you're doing. The amount of side effects, the amount of crazy things that can come from that, it really is just a case by case with that one.
Right. And I do have to say that I am extremely proud because you actually did your research, through the different meds that were suggested and recommended, even though you were being tossed aside from counselor to therapist to this to nutritionist to, like, people just had you all over the place, nobody even really knowing who you were or your case history, but yet they were very quick to write a script out. You actually did your research on what it was, what were the side effects, what, like, how would it counteract, other things you were doing, and you had to have that discussion with me, and I left the choice up to you. and
Yeah,
and I just have to say kudos to you for doing that research, because I don't think that many in your age bracket actually do that. They just want the pain to go away.
yeah. But it also it falls back on the person too, though. Like, you have to be willing to try things, because you really don't know what's going to work and what's not going to work. And even though you want that feeling to end immediately, it might take months to years before you find out what's going to work for you. And you got to be willing to go through that. And for somebody who might suffer with that lack of motivation, it's hard, because you need motivation to get there. Especially, when you hit up these therapists, like, yeah, we can get you in 6 months. It's like, well, I'm sad right now. Like, I want to get fixed right now. Like, but there's nothing you can do about that. And then when I go and see these people, it's like, okay, well, I think you could use some meds. It's like, I'm sure you do think I could use some meds, like, but that's not what I came here for. I came here to express how I'm feeling and how I fix that in here, not how I fix that by taking something. And so, um, you know, for me, it's like, okay, it's like, I struggle with body dysmorphia. You know, uh, I got myself anorexic just because I didn't want no weight on me. I feared weight. I wanted to see that scale drop no matter what the cost. So to go and sit down with a therapist and they say, I think you need to take this. It's like, oh, well, I looked it up and it said that one of the main side effects is weight gain. Yeah, but I think you could use it. It's like, so you're telling me I struggle with weight issues, so take something that's going to make me gain weight. That's my biggest fear. Why are you telling me to take that? Like, it doesn't make no sense to me. So, I don't know.
Yeah. And it is a case by case. People that need to go that route, they need to go that route. People that don't need to go that route don't need to go that route. So, that disclaimer here, everybody's got to do what they got to do, but I want to just commend you for doing the research, learning. You did more research about everything that was going on with you to be able to actually speak facts with the doctors, and I don't think that they were prepared for that. um, when when and this is the last piece that we're going to touch on, but I know when you hit your lowest points, when you hit the, and I like to call them like when we were talking you off the ledge kind of thing, because when it got dark, it got very, very dark. And as a mom, I tried my best to just drop everything from what was happening, what was going on, to just listen, to just be there, to just talk it through. um, but when people want to say, oh, they just need to pray harder, or oh, they just need to, just be more positive, like all this easy shit they're just throwing at it, when in reality it's like, you don't want to be in pain. You're not choosing to feel this low. Like, what can you tell to people who want to just say, just think positive, or just change your mindset, or just, pray harder, or just all these like easy surface things, when it's like, you're not in it to know how deep it can go. It doesn't just get fixed like that. What kind of things can you say to that?
It's hard because it's a case by case on that one as well. It depends on what the person's going through and their own beliefs and stuff, and then the person that's talking to that person, like what their beliefs are. Because for me personally, I hear the word religion or God, I'm tapped out. I'm not listening no more. I don't care because I'm not a religious person. So when that's thrown out as the answer, you already lost me. So uh, I've had to struggle with that because it's a lot harder to talk to people who are very religious, and that's their answer. And the answer to my problem is the fact that I haven't found God or something. Um, and so to me, it's like that just puts me in a deeper slump. It's like, okay, like all this conversation to get nowhere to me. But I also respect that, some people have different beliefs than me. So I'll hear it out. But a lot of times people aren't respective enough to hear you out on why you don't believe in a God. It's like you're automatically uh, a target. Like you touch the nerve when you don't share the same belief system. Uh, so for me, with that one, it's like you got to be open to hear people on both sides. You got to also be open to hear things that you don't believe in, or you know don't side with, and just respect that you might still be able to take lessons out of something that, even if it's way out of the ordinary from what you keep in your own realm of uh, your mindset. So I've done my hardest to try and listen to different things, and I would say, like, as much as I could do to try different things to try to get better. People would recommend me, hey, you need to go see a therapist. Like, I don't want to do that. I already know what's wrong with me, and I didn't. But like, I just kept saying that. But then I ended up going. You know, I tried to go to a therapist. I tried to take medication. I tried to do all these different things that I didn't agree with because I was like, I want to feel better. So I'm willing to make those sacrifices to see what's going to work for me. But you know, with like we had touched on earlier, there's a lot of things I didn't know I was going to start struggling with because I never had to deal with certain things. Uh, I went to a residential to get better, to work on my OCD, to work on my confidence, to feel better about myself because I was so low. And I, uh, people tried to rape me twice while I was in there. You know, uh, I never had to deal with that before. I never had to deal with the sexualization, especially the sexualization in these hospitals is
Yeah, and
insane.
and you said rape. I want people, because that was kind of hard to hear. I would just, we're just going to say it. Yeah. He said people tried to rape him twice in these residential places he was trying to seek help. The place that I dropped him off at to seek help. So yes.
Yeah, I mean, uh, it's just crazy how common it is in those type of environments because everybody's so vulnerable, and these workers love to take control of that because they know they're not in a good mindset. I've seen these 40-year-old social workers hitting on these 18-year-old girls that are wanting to commit suicide, and uh, even stuff in Fort Wayne. I went to Fort Wayne, and the first second I was there, hey, we don't give these out, but you're cute. So if you want extra of this, I got you. If you need more of this, you get the luxury treatment, the better you look. Um, and uh, the amount of things that they just let slide. The old woman came up to me when I was in Tennessee in residential, and she's like, You're the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. I want to buy you a plane ticket wherever you want to go. I just divorced my husband. All this other crazy stuff. Started telling me I was a god and all these all this random stuff. And the workers were there and they were listening. And they thought it was funny. It was hilarious. And to me, it's like you're supposed to stop those situations. This is why I'm here. I'm here. I'm here for this, and now I got to go somewhere else to deal with the stuff I dealt with here. It's insane. Uh, and it's sad to know that it happens in this city. It's sad to know that it happens in a different state. Uh, it's so much more common than people think of that type of treatment and the type of sexualization in these hospitals with these therapists, with these workers, with the people there. It's insane.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I have to tell you, I am extremely proud of you for sharing and using your voice. I know that this has been something that has not been easy, and we've talked about for well, the residential was over a year ago. It's been a journey about a year ago, and I knew that you had said at some point you would come forward and start talking about things, and it just had to be in your time and in your way. And I just want to say that I'm very proud of you. What you have within you to share, people need to hear. And the conversations that are difficult to have, you have the strength and the wisdom and the insight to be able to handle those. And I just want to say thank you. As your mom, I'm proud of you, but as a human being, I have mad respect for you. So thank you. Is
Appreciate that.
there any last little words or any last message, maybe to a young listener tuning in that has watched anything that you want to leave and share, or just get it out, get it out?
I mean, I think the most important thing you could ever do is work on yourself. No matter how old you are, no matter how far behind you feel like you are, like it's always worth it to start today and try to do something to get better. And know that like if you're 100% for it, those sacrifices are nothing. You know, I didn't do anything on my 21st birthday. I just worked out when it was another day for me. And everybody was like, what why wouldn't you go celebrate your 21st? It's like, well, because I wanted to celebrate my 22nd even harder. So, um, to make those sacrifices to get what you want, it's like that's the easiest thing you could do. And I think it's the best thing you can do if you put your mind to it, put those goals in line. If you can visualize where you want to be at, you can do it. I got myself to a point where people don't recognize me. They don't even think I'm the same person. You see a picture from me from before, you would think those are two different people. That's what I wanted, though. That's what I worked for. That's what I did all of the research for by myself because nobody else did that around me. And I didn't let that stop me, though.
Yeah.
You know, and just being humble enough that it's like, okay, once you figure something out, to me, there's no reason to make a course and sell the knowledge that I learned for free. I just took the time out of my day. Like to me, if somebody asks me, it's like I'm gonna let them know what I did, what my routines are, what I ate, how I slept, like all this kind of stuff. Like to me, I think trying to sell that uh, does a disservice because at the end of the day, like everybody's just trying to get better.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And in that, like when we talk about what he mean is, I mean, you drilled down in the education of like macro, I don't even know, micros, macros,
mhm,
percentages, like you drilled this weight, like the weight loss, the however you did it, amazing, like
yeah, I mean,
amazing.
I I studied, you know, uh, food groups, dieting. Uh, I discovered I have a gluten intolerance. I discovered, carbs, insulin, all this type of stuff that I had issues with, and I made it the perfect diet for me to lose the most weight as fast as possible, to build as much muscle as fast as possible, and to get rid of the acne at the same time. It was like a whole full body recomposition, and it took 1 year. So uh, I'm on year 2 right now, and I've never felt better.
I love it.
So
And that's a perfect wrap up right there. I've never felt better. Well, thank you. Oh, Gina says, I love researching. That's what Gina
yeah,
said. I love
mm,
researching. Well, thank you so much for sharing your time. They're already saying that you've got more, like they want to know more, they want to hear more. You definitely have some insight in just nuggets to share. So hopefully we can have you back and we can tackle in as maybe they have questions. But for the other listeners, yes, if you have more questions or more comments, please use this thread. You can keep them coming. And as far as for having Josiah back, if you want to hear more from him, please let us know what you want to talk about, and we will definitely have him back. And we will be here this coming Tuesday with another episode of Tipsy Lips. And again, we are sponsored by Besitos Beauty. That is my lipstick company. You can find us at besitosbeauty.com. And we'll see you later. Thank you, everyone.